When it comes to sharing your passion and trying to make a living off of it, things get kind of complicated, right? When you introduce money, it gets a little tricky, it gets icky, and I don't know how to feel about that with how everyone is trying to make money doing that and trying to make money selling products, courses, affiliate links, advertisements. There's so many ways of making money online or in person, but it gets kind of tricky, right? When you're trying to make it with your passions involved. However, what better way is there to do it? If you're not passionate about something, then why are you working on it like a 9 to 5 or some sort of thing that you just need to get by? I understand that. If you're trying to support a family or you have a big overhead, sure. And at the same time, it's so soul crushing, right? And so you try to share your passions and you try to make a living doing so. I know I've tried to do it back in 2016 when I started my YouTube channel, trying to make gaming content and make a living doing so. And I ended up succeeding. I started to get my first paychecks from YouTube, sharing it to my mom hey, oh my God, I'm making a living doing gaming. Of course, my overhead wasn't that much because I was living at home. And at the same time, after playing so much and getting really good at the game, I started to do esports and got into esports teams and traveled to New York, Atlanta, all sorts of places. And we ended up winning a tournament, but the bigger tournament we ended up not qualifying for. And so our team got disbanded. So my esports career wasn't that quick, but throughout those 2 years, I basically paid off my college education. I was going to college at the time. That was probably not the best combination of trying to do, 40 to 60 hour of gaming and trying to squish all of the studying that I needed to do into all of that. But it was a great learning experience and I learned so much. And at the same time, I keep coming back to this question of how do I fuel sharing my passion and making a living doing so? And there's so much talk about, make a course, sell your info, do all of this online business stuff. And there's just a better way. And throughout the last 4 months that I've been a part of this group, I've learned so much about online business, online marketing, sales in general, and that there is a better way to do all of this. And so I'm going to explain that to you, but before I get into that, I want to kind of preface the things to ignore, kind of like these mosquitoes. So when people are trying to make a living sharing their passions, there's 2 routes that people go down. And it's feeding the algorithm and kind of chasing it. And the other one is being more authentic and kind of screw the algorithm. I'm just going to share what I want to share. And both have their positives and negatives. If you're trying to, appease the algorithm, then you're going to be trying to edit for virality. And you're trying to get so many views, so many clicks so that people and sponsorships and advertisement money comes in, and so you can feed yourself like that. And after a while, you can, sell your products or do whatever, and people will hopefully buy it, right? Your fans, and they could donate or do whatever. And then there's also the route of, not chasing the algorithm, kind of showing your most authentic self and trying to get higher quality people and to get a big or a small group of people who are super deeply passionate about whatever you're sharing. And at the same time, people also get stuck in that route because it's difficult to make money doing that. There's less ad revenue, there's less sponsorships, and even with all of the smaller ways of making money, it's more challenging, right? And so people end up, looking on YouTube or other sources or buying courses on how to make money, doing this online thing. And they get stuck too because they try to take that a 2D framework from that marketing world and they try to stick it on just glue. And it usually ends up not working, right? Because that human being is way more holistic, and there's more context that needs to be added before you even decide to do that sort of framework. And the people who are marketing and they're selling these courses, they're marketers marketing to marketers. Blake LaGrange says this best, and he's taught a lot to me about this information, where it's a synthetic economy of marketers who sell a framework on how to sell, basically. And that continues into a loop until, in a few years, we'll see that explode. And it kind of sucks to see, but, on the framework of that, there isn't that much substance. When you get to buy these courses or whatever, you just get videos and there's no contact, there's no proximity. You don't even get to talk to the person usually. Maybe you do, but hey, maybe it's a bot, or maybe it's someone else working for them. So there isn't really that trust, there's no gratitude, and it's just kind of like a money lever that people are trying to pull on. But they're seeing that it's starting to not work. And the reason why I think it's not working is because it's so saturated, and then everyone's trying to do it. And there's so much content on it, and all of the content is knowledge and like wisdom, but there's no order to it. There's nobody's applying it, or the people that are having not that much success. And so it leaves people leaving like, fuck, I can't do it. Like I can't share my passion anymore. I need to go get a 9 to 5, or I need to get back to work. It's like, no, there's a better way. And yeah, so first thing to ignore all the marketers marketing to marketers. Don't worry about that. It's information that's not of high substance and of not high depth, and people aren't sharing all of themselves, and that's like such a shame. And at the same time, okay, ignore those people. Also ignore like dopaminergic, soothing activities. You know what I'm talking about. Alcohol, drugs, other addictions that can get you on this dopaminergic cycle that gets you to keep on watching these YouTube videos, right? And so you need to get out of that and stop watching YouTube videos and kind of go slower to go faster. So how do we actually do that? Okay. So I talked about how there's a different group of people who are more authentic, right? And they're not chasing the algorithm. And it's kind of like the YouTube new wave. They're creating authentic content, and they're still hiding behind masks, because most of these people, and I've talked to them, they are either in like some sort of financial issue, some sort of money problem, but like their content shows that like, hey, like I'm doing great, my mental health is so good. It's usually mental health focused, because yeah, those people have struggle trying to make a living from that stuff. And like at the same time, so I'm like watching this content, and I've talked to this person already, and I'm like, this is not you, or it's a part of you, but it's not fully you. And you're not discussing or even mentioning like the money issue, which is so impactful because it leads to scarcity, and so you can't think clearly, and it leads to the inability to progress forward in like the right direction or a better direction. The crazy synthetic thing about going the algorithm route is when you're trying to make videos and you get a sponsorship, you're like, yes, finally I have a sponsor that can pay for my bills. And you basically trade your trust with your audience and get a paycheck out of that. And there's also like a parasocial aspect to that. You have so many people watching you, and they're like expecting you to do all of this and that and be a certain way, and then you kind of get forced into hiding behind this mask that you kind of put on yourself because you were trying to go this algorithmic route. Whereas, yeah, and so you attract these low quality people, these people with no gratitude, and if you decide to sell something, you'll notice that like not many people will buy it. And the people that do buy it end up complaining a whole bunch because you're attracting a certain type of person at that low price. And so that gets really tricky. It gets so complex. You're also trying to keep up with everything, right? It gets so overwhelming trying to keep the content hamster wheel going. And so you're stretched so thin, and it feels so isolating because, damn, you're living the dream, right? You're posting online, or you're making money online, or just sharing your passions. It's like, how could you even complain, right? There's so much, shoot, I forgot the word. There's so much privilege there, right? And so it's so isolating, and you can't like even share. And even if you do like complain to your audience, you know, people aren't gonna resonate with that because they're not meeting you where you're at. And so it gets really tricky, right? Like that gets so stressful, and a lot of, you know, YouTubers, a lot of big YouTubers just kind of fall off, or, you know, they have to change paths, or they end up doing some other stuff, and, you know, it sucks because then you don't get to see like them sharing their passions anymore because they have to do something else. Okay, so I talk about, you know, attracting low quality people versus high quality people. Like, how do we attract higher quality people? Sure, you can post more about your authentic self. You can post about, you know, sharing your passions and just letting the algorithm do its thing. And at the same time, like showing the work. Like if you're a craftsman, like show the craft. If you're doing something online, then show the outcome of whatever work you've done, or any creative project, or just show the work. And if your work is like, you know, coaching or doing mentorship, then show that work too. And just see what kind of people you attract with that. And what will end up happening if you're a person of depth, if you have taste and you have expertise, that what ends up happening is you attract people who are also interested in those passions or those topics that you're interested about. And they're way high quality of a person because it's that mirror effect. If you're, you know, putting out a certain like output, then you're gonna get some sort of input. I remember when I was a part of these spiritual dreamers clubs, that when I went to like talk to them about, you know, charging a high amount for what they're doing, or, you know, just seeing if there's any transformation or offer that I could help them through or bridge the gap, it's like I wasn't meeting them where they're at because I joined that group on the basis of being in scarcity without any money. And then I later realized that they also don't have money. It's like, oh, okay. Now that's not always the case, but it's usually the case in terms of the mirror effect. And after I like took out my Roth IRA from all of my investments I made during esports, then I was able to have the freedom and think more clearly to decide on what things I want to be pursuing and how I want to be, you know, pursuing them. And this is a part of that process. So yeah, the mirror effect, attracting people, the right people. And a lot of people will say that like, no, but there's nobody out there like that. Like that's not possible to find those people. And it's like, no, there are people out there that are on that same frequency. You just have to meet them at that frequency, you know, and you have to go up to that level. Whereas before, hiding behind masks and trying to do viral editing, like first 5 seconds, do all these quick cuts, it's like you're gonna be attracting people who are, you know, trying to get a quick win, trying to, you know, do something that's not of substance, that's not of depth, and, you know, they're gonna take advantage of you. And that sucks, but that's kind of the reality. If you're, you know, posting something or sharing something with depth and curiosity and deep expertise, then, you know, it's not going to be that quick hit of dopamine of like fast editing that's going to attract those people. It's on a different level, it's on a different frequency, so you're going to be attracting someone of a higher level. And then with that, you can, you know, introduce them into like a group call, or, you know, get in a dialogue, because what ends up happening on YouTube is, you know, it's a monologue. I'm talking to the camera, I'm talking to you guys, you know, parasocial. No, I'm monologuing. I'm trying to put out a frequency and to see if someone will jump on that frequency. And at the same time, this is still a monologue. It's not a dialogue, which is why dialogues are so important, because then you get that back and forth to see what people are resonating with and what they're not with. And so getting on those group calls, you can get people and get on that dialogue and see and go deeper into the passion of what you guys are excited about, or what you all are excited about. And if you want to go deeper with that person, if you're like really vibing with them, then you can offer like a transformation if you see that you can bridge a gap that you see within them. Like, it's not about like selling something, and at the same time, if you see that opening, or if you see like they could really be helped by your help, and you're like, yeah, I can totally do that. Yeah, that comes from deep expertise, right? Some people, like when I talk to these experts, they're like, yeah, it's like that's what I do. It's like, no, for me that's so difficult. And people, because they're experts, they don't see that, right? And that's kind of like the double-edged sword. And at the same time, that's why we have communities, and that's why we have people to talk to and have dialogue. Anyways, my main thing is like showing the work, getting people in calls and getting on dialogue and seeing if you can help and if you like go deeper into the passions. And the best way to do that would be like to do a group call and to get people on that same frequency, and afterwards, see if you can help transform them, and charging a high price for that, and not charging like $99 a month or $100 or $200 or $1,000. I'm talking about like $5,000 plus for a transformation that you have conviction they'll get at least $50,000. You need that conviction, and that comes from being the expert. That comes from going into the trenches and doing a lot of inner work to, feel confident to charge that price, and knowing that you can charge that price. And that's a lot of work, but that's also part of this journey, right? It's a better way to do this online stuff, to share your passion, but it's a lot harder. But it's less complex, so it's not harder. I guess it's a better path. That's a better way. Anyways, if you're not an expert though, and you are just, just getting started, you're trying to share your passions regardless, and you have time, say for example, you don't have that much overhead because you're young, or you're just, trying to figure it out, trying to find your voice. Well, this is a great way to do so, sharing your passions online, getting people on that same frequency. That's kind of what I did with my gaming. And try not to hide behind any masks, and just do what you feel like you want to share. And through that period, you can also do like group calls. You can do them for free. Don't charge like $5 or $10 or some low ticket stuff. That's poison. Like, there's so much gratitude in having like a free call, right? And at the same time, if you charge like $10 or something for that call or whatever, then people will be expecting, more, and they're going to be demanding so much. And it's like, all the gratitude disappears. But if you're charging a way high price ticket, like $5,000 plus, then the gratitude is also there, because then you've attracted that kind of person that, respects you, and that they're vibing with you, and that they're on the same frequency, and they want to go deeper and transform, and you want to help them transform. So there's also that, you commit with your money, and you listen with your money. And yeah, being a creator is so exciting, because, you're trying to figure out who you are, you're trying to figure out your purpose, your voice. And after a while, like, it's so much easier to find your voice when you're going through dialogue with other people, and like kind of going back and forth, and seeing like what sticks and what doesn't, and am I off base? Like, that comes with like attracting the right people to talk with too. And at the same time, yeah, it's just so exciting. You also get to build like an amazing community. There's that gratitude exchange because you're selling it for free. You're putting all this value into it, putting all this work into it. And like over time, as you build this expertise, like then you can, or if you feel like you can help transform these people through whatever things you've learned, then sure, like offer your services, offer whatever you have to offer, but don't offer for like a low ticket price. Yeah, you're building that trust. And a lot of the times you can get hung up on like trying to sell or trying to cash out on that trust via sponsorships or ad revenue or ad streams or 30-second BetterHelp, it'll help you so much. Like, no. And yeah, it'll help you go deeper into your craft. For experts who are just trying to get into this world, there's kind of like 4 phases you have to go through. And the first phase is, I call it the spark phase. You kind of need to figure out your money problem first. If you have a money problem, you need a cushion. You need a runway in order to think clearly enough to make the right decisions, in order to be the person you need to be, in order to do the things you want to do. And so that spark phase is really important. For me, it was taking out my Roth IRA and deciding to, hey, I'm taking this out and I'm committing to this entrepreneurial journey. And for other people, it's like figuring out a short-term creative solution and just going out about that process so that they have the cushion to think clearly onto what the next steps are going to be. And so that helps you with, your energy. You can show up to those calls, to those people, to those, groups, and be in the right energy, in that calm state, to have that perception, to have those ears to listen carefully, and to be able to reflect back on how you should move forward. And then afterwards, it's like to do what you actually want to do. It's like your dreams. Everyone has dreams, and especially for entrepreneurs, those can get really big. And so there's those 2 steps before the spark and the fuel, more so, to be who you need to be. You need clean fuel. You can't be operating off, working for like 60 hours, overworked, overstretched, just staying on this crazy hamster wheel of content. You need to, cool it down, slow things down, slow things down to speed up. And coming from a place of energetics that are aligned with you and that you can be calm in and relaxed and be able to listen. But anyways, afterwards, then it comes the heat. Then the third step is the heat and doing what you actually want to do, your dreams, and being in a flow state of like, and having a community around you and that like deep curiosity, and that goes deeper, in fact. And you'll see as you go down this journey, it's like things get deeper and deeper and more interesting and greater inquiry and curiosity, and it's so exciting. So yeah, and it's so like malleable. It's like everyone's journey is different. Everyone has weaknesses and strengths and stuff they like doing better than others, and it's not like a framework that you have to plug into like all of these marketers marketing to marketers. Like everyone's different, and everyone has skills and things that once looked at the context can see like what path is best for them. And it's so helpful to have that mentor there for you, at least for me. Like when I got on this entrepreneurial journey, growing up when I was 14, like turning from a boy to a man, my parents split, and so I didn't really have like a dad mentor to grow up with. The father figure wasn't really there in my life, so I kind of had to figure it out on my own. And so over time, like I figured stuff out, but it took time, and like through so much struggle. And I realized that this season of my life, like I need help to figure out this entrepreneurial path that I'm down on. So yeah, I've invested in myself and betted on myself by getting help. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. And lastly, the fire. The fourth step is the fire. It's the vision in the future, the dream, and just kind of envisioning what you need and what you want, and kind of turning it into a reality. And I like the fire aspect of it because I studied chemistry, and I grew up making little fires all over my village. Didn't really get in like big fires, but little fires I loved. But yeah, anyways, so all in all, like the transformation that'll happen to a person who goes down this path of doing group calls and kind of going deeper into their craft, and not sticking in some random framework from a marketer, something that's way more holistic to them. What'll end up happening is people will build communities around themselves and their passions, and sharing their passions, and it'll fuel them and their business and get everything way more aligned to give them way more free time, not on this freaking content hamster wheel, and to go deeper into their craft, passions, community, trust, purpose, and the ripple effect of helping other people that will end up helping other people. And it's just so exciting. So if you're interested, I'm hosting a Q&A call. If you have any questions, or if you want to go deeper, if you want to learn more, it's in 2 weeks, and I'm going to be hosting it. Go check out the description for more information. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So bye.